It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. It's another fine weekend here in the Low Country. Thanks for joining me on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, where we talk about real estate, news, and the housing market. I share my experiences with you as someone that's been in the top 1% of agents in Charleston since 2009. Every year we sell over 100 homes, and I relay my experiences to you to help you better understand what's happening in the market. What should you know? How should you prepare for the process of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? And what are just some discussion points that we should be aware of right now as our market continues to shift and change and evolve, especially with everything going on right now? So that's the premise of the show. If it's your first time, welcome. I know a lot of you listen to the show on a weekly basis. I appreciate that. If you ever want to reach out to me and you want to talk about real estate as it relates to you, I do, of course, sell real estate during the week, as does my team. We have a team of 20 people. We'd love the opportunity to earn your business. My number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or visit us online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. So here's what I want to talk about on this show. And it's going to be a little bit different than what you guys normally hear from me. So I want to preface this show with that. But, I think that one of the main things that I'm hearing right now, not just from real estate agents, but from lenders, from inspectors, from attorneys, from really just people that are involved in the real estate cycle, as well as, of course, the people that are looking, buyers, sellers, investors. There's a lot of stress in the world right now. Now, I want to talk about how we can handle that, how we can better understand that, how we can have empathy in certain instances, right? We should still expect a lot from the professionals that we hire. And I'm not saying, give us a get out of jail free card and let it be the wild, wild west and we'll get to it whenever we get to it. But I am here to say that this is a very interesting and very challenging and very stressful time for a lot of people. And so I think we need to have empathy right now. We really need to have grace. We're here in the South. It's what we're known for. And although, of course, that's changing as more and more people move down from the Northeast. And, I think a lot of people that live here in Charleston are starting to say, this isn't the Charleston that I moved here and that I have loved for the past, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever the case might be. It's changing pretty rapidly. And so I'm going to sell and I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else. So what I want to talk about is just the emotions of dealing with real estate agents dealing with clients, the process in general, what you should know, and just really what you should be prepared for if you're going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate right now. I want to talk about what happens if, you're looking to buy a house and you just can't seem to find what you're looking for, or what you find goes on the market and then goes under contract before you have a chance to do anything about it. What are some of the ways that we're winning multiple offer situations? We're at the point right now where we basically have 2 agents for every 1 house for sale. That's how saturated our market is with real estate agents. A lot of them are brand new. So new that, I've got 6 people that are waiting to get licensed on my real estate team. Obviously, they're not selling real estate right now. We're waiting for that to occur, for them to get their license before they can actually start selling real estate. We're doing some training and preparation before that happens. But there are some instances where, they've been through the course, but now they have to wait 3 to 4 months before they can take their test, get a background check, get fingerprinted, all that fun stuff. And so you're in a very interesting market right now. A lot of agents are getting in. They want to sell real estate. And then once they're in, they're realizing, okay, well, not a lot to sell right now. The market share is already really diluted. I might get a deal or two from my brother, uncle, friend, cousin, coworker, acquaintance, but you can't make a living in this business doing just a deal or two a year. So a lot of those people are going to end up getting out of the business. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about, hey, if your home is not selling, how do you prevent your home from sitting on the market too long? For those of you that have tried selling and it didn't sell, what happened? What could have been done differently? What are we doing and what are we seeing from our perspective for those homes that list and sit versus the homes that list and sell? So we're going to we're going to bounce around a lot this morning. We're going to talk about a few different topics. You're going to walk away with, some specific things to take into consideration, some strategies to follow, and maybe some good stories along the way. So let's first talk about really just kind of the mental health and emotional health of people that want to do something that is already a very emotional decision, and that is move. Move homes. There's a lot going on there, a lot that I could unwrap on this. But I think going back to one of my original statements is that people are just, they're under a lot of stress right now. If you think about it, real estate is one of those industries where, and we're very blessed and I'm very thankful for this. It's an industry that's thriving. I mean, our market is still really, really hot. We're basically, usually what happens is this. If you guys know what a bell curve is, or just picture a hill, every March in our market is when that hill starts to climb. And what I mean by that is that new listings and closings start to increase. You usually crest the hill or reach the top of the bell curve around June, and then things start to slow down a little bit. It happens every year, year over year over year. It's the seasonality of our market, except for this year. Usually, of course, again, things really start to pick up in March. Well, guess what happened in March? We got hit with the coronavirus. And so instead of listings going up, listings took a sharp dive downward. But sales, although they didn't go up at the same pace we're used to, there was a little bit of a delay, but they shot way up in May. We put more homes under contract in our market in May than we have in any other month in the history of Charleston. We had all this pent-up demand, and we're still dealing with that pent-up demand because, we just don't have the inventory to kind of satisfy all the people that are sitting around watching, waiting, hoping for the right property to hit the market. So when those properties do hit the market, if you're priced well, if you're in good condition, if you're marketed properly, you get swarmed. You get swarmed with activity. Usually you get multiple offers. If you don't, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It just means that there wasn't a backlog of buyers for your specific house. You have to remember that homes are, people specific. Not everybody's going to like your house. And we don't need to change things in your house for everybody to like it. We just need one person to like it. But it also is better if multiple people like it, because when you have people fighting over the same thing, someone's going to raise their hand and say, I'm willing to pay more. So here we go. We've got the stress of wanting to move, or maybe being in a financial situation where, hey, we've got equity, but our income is uncertain right now. We'd like to sell our house. We'd like to downsize. We'd like to simplify. We've got, folks that are in the baby boomer generation that say, look, I don't need all this space. It's time for me to downsize. If I'm going to get a mortgage, I want to get that mortgage now because, I might pay a little less for it if this market were to shift. And who knows if that's going to happen or not. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But what people should be concerned about is the payment, the cost of ownership. We have broken the interest rate record 8 separate times this year for the lowest interest rate. We did it again a few days ago. So it's just ridiculously inexpensive to own a property right now. So anyways, you've got the stress associated with it just being an incredibly competitive real estate market if you're a buyer. You also have the stress associated with, well, hey, wait a minute, it's been 2 weeks. Why hasn't my home sold yet? The stress of the assumption that every home is selling immediately and for multiple offers. And if it doesn't, then what's wrong? What are you doing or not doing to fix the problem? What have I missed? Am I overpriced? There's just a lot that goes into the process right now. And then, of course, you have to add on to that the fact that people are working from home. We're in a people business. We're going from house to house. And so, of course, we bring our masks and, we take our shoes off and, we're being safe because we are coming into contact with people, and I can't tell you the number of times. I mean, well, I suppose I could, but we're having meetings with people where they'll sit on their front porch. I'll walk through their house, and then they'll still sit on their front porch while I'm in their front lawn, talking with them about what we do to market properties for sale. I mean, it's just a little bizarre. But then, of course, you have the stress of people trying to figure out how to create this work-life balance while also dealing with kids at home and juggling a full-time job at home, which they're not used to. How is that going to work? Are kids going to go back to school, and are they actually going to stay there, or are we going to deal with all this virtual learning? So there's just a lot going on right now. We're all trying to get used to it and still try and figure our way through all of this. Yet we're in a market right now that demands immediate action. So my message to you, and we're going to unpackage this a little bit further because I think there's some political portions to this discussion that need to be mentioned as it relates to the future of our real estate market. But I think we all just need to have some empathy right now. We need to understand that we're all doing the best we can. And there are some people that, quite frankly, have just shut down, that, they're burned out. They're tired. Their hands are up in the air. They just can't do it. And, a lot of the people in our industry right now that are a single agent or that are at a brokerage that just isn't giving them the support they need or the training they need, if they don't have other people they can rely on, I can't imagine being a single agent right now. Like I mentioned, we have a team of 20 people. You better believe we're all pitching in and helping one another out. And whether that mean providing coverage or, the administrative support that we have, but also the emotional support that provides. It's huge, and it's really needed right now. So, be kind to one another. Take care of one another. Be understanding, but also don't compromise on your expectations from a personal or professional perspective, because it can be done, and we're doing it at a high level. And yes, it does require more effort and more time on our end. I mean, Thursday morning, I took half a day off and did next to nothing because I had to. Because every single day, I go to work, I come home, I spend time with my kids and family, and then as soon as the kids go to bed, I go and I work for another 2, sometimes 3 hours. We've made an offer or negotiated a deal or talked about a deal every evening for like weeks. So we just, sometimes we all need a little break. I'm actively looking for a deserted island with Wi-Fi, if you know of one. But anyways, we'll be right back. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about, how you can capitalize on some of these opportunities right now. So stick around. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, talk more about your situation, we'd love the chance to help, tell you more about what we're doing and how we're finding success in this market. My number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or visit us online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, folks, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty. And if you want to reach out to me, you want to talk more about real estate, have a private conversation with me. My number, my cell phone is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Or visit us online, listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about myself and my team and who we are, what we do, what we sell, how we sell it, get an opinion of value on your home, get an instant offer on your home, learn more about selling your home on your own. Just a lot of great resources on there. Check it out, listingsincharleston.com. And, of course, every version of this show can be found on that site or by downloading it on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, so on and so forth. So that's how you get in touch with me. Let's get back on track with regard to the discussion we're having about just the emotional and fragile nature of the market right now and the people within it. And I'll tell you that, of course we live in this culture of embellishment. And I forget who said this. I believe it was a Democrat that said, "Hey, you never waste a good crisis." Right? I do believe that at some point after November, we're going to look back on this and say, what was that? What should we have? Why didn't we do this differently? I think that, and I firmly believe that the coronavirus is killing people. Don't get me wrong. Don't let me allow you to think that I'm mixing my words here, because it is real, and I do respect and appreciate that. I do think, however, that the proportion of this and the reaction to this, I think, has gotten a little too grandiose, a little too embellished, so to speak, because that's just what we do. That's what the media does. And I understand the irony in that as somebody that has a radio show. But, think about, everything that we do is designed to capture your attention. I can't tell you the amount of research that has gone into, mastering the first few seconds of any advertisement to catch your attention. The amount of data and advertisement that we're exposed to on a daily basis keeps growing and growing and growing. I'll tell you, if I see another 20-year-old punk on YouTube saying, "We have cracked the code on how to make $1 million in 30 days, give me a break. You don't know what you're talking about. And so just, and of course, when you follow people online, I have to tell you that real estate agents on Facebook are some of the most annoying people on planet Earth. I have not seen an industry yet where people flex harder than real estate agents on Facebook. And I know some of you are like, "Oh my God, yes." Every once in a while, my director of marketing will put something on Facebook, and I'm like, "Hey, you got to change that." Because all these other agents out there are trying to give you some skewed perception of reality, of what it would look like to work with them. And, you've got some agents that are just so over the top ridiculous with it. "Seller told us to sell. We got him 108% of asking price in just 3 days. They wanted the best. They got the best." It's just like, is that really the messaging that you want to be known for? We're here to help people. And so, this isn't just going to be a show about me complaining. I did tell you it's going to be a little bit different, but what I mean by this is that we all have a lot going on right now. And when we add moving homes to the equation, you need somebody that can help you sift through the emotional roller coaster that you're about to go through. And somebody that's doing this at a very high level frequently. If we didn't want to sell, hundreds of homes this year, then sure, I could kick up and I could watch a bunch of shows on Netflix too and just kind of work when I need to work. That's not me. That's not how I'm wired. That's not how the people on my team are wired. We have big goals, big dreams, and we want to help people. And one of the best ways that we are helping people right now is by simplifying things for them. Man, when I go to the doctor, or if I bring my kid to the doctor, I don't want the doctor to say, "Well, here are a bunch of things that you could do. You could do this, or you could do that, or you could do this, or you could do that." What I want as a parent in that situation is to say, "What would you do if this was your child? What should we do? What should we do? What's the best thing to do right now?" And that's what you should expect from your real estate agent. You should have somebody that asks a lot of questions, really understands your situation, understands why you want to do what you want to do, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to compromise on, what you're not willing to compromise on in order to make all of this work, and then go out and do it for you at a really high level by saying this, "I appreciate you sharing all this information. If I were in your position, this is what I would do." But if you're a real estate agent that doesn't have the collective experience of years and years and years, decades plus, 1,000 transactions plus worth of experience, then I can understand why a lot of people are a little stressed out by real estate agents that are giving all of these different types of advice to people. It's because they really just don't know how to advise you properly. If I'm being completely honest, the person that we talk to, and I talk to my team about this all the time, and you've probably been through this. Just think about going to buy a car for a second. How many times have you gone to a dealership and started walking around and looking at cars, and the salesman says, hey, you know what? Before we start looking at cars, why don't we take a step back and go to the finance manager's office, and let's make sure that you can afford these cars before we start talking about your interest in test driving one. I mean, you would be like, that. You're going to report them to the manager. That's so ridiculous. Like, how dare you? I'll let you know if I'm interested in the car, and then once I've had an opportunity to test drive it, we can talk numbers. We'll negotiate. But for some reason, real estate agents have it in their minds that, anybody that they talk to needs to go through a financial pre-qualification process in order to get help and direction. If somebody sees one of our Facebook ads, as an example, about a property, and we start talking to them and say, well, we're just kind of planning right now. We're still kind of in the aspirational phase of this home search. We've just started talking about it. We haven't really even started planning for it, but we know it's going to be sometime next summer. What sort of idiot do you need to be to be like, well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's get you talking to a lender to get you pre-approved for a mortgage. And we just keep seeing this time and time again from all these agents that are just, they're missing the mark. And so from your perspective, when you work with a real estate agent, work with somebody that makes you feel comfortable, that truly appreciates your position, your goals, what you're trying to accomplish, and then lays out a plan for you to accomplish those things based on their experiences, based on the highest and best use of your time. And in my opinion, sales is just a function of whoever provides the most value. That's the way it's always been for me. That's why I do this show, to help you guys remain informed about the real estate market and the processes associated with it, and to just know, what you should be thinking about and just how you kind of approach this process. Obviously, different people are going to take different bits and pieces from, this show and what they read online and their interactions from previous relationships with agents or, whatever. I'd like to be a part of the puzzle. I don't have to be all of the puzzle. But I do have a good track record in just being easy to work with and in accomplishing really good results for my clients. So that's why I've been doing this show for 8+ years. So if you're thinking about buying or selling right now, we're going to focus the second half of our discussion in this show about, what do you do if you're a buyer? How do you navigate this market right now? How do you win a multiple offer situation? What are some things that you should be considering? And if, if your agent isn't considering these things along with you, then maybe you can use this to have a conversation with them. And then, of course, on the seller side of things, how do we approach this process right now to really take advantage of the fact that the pendulum has swung so far in the direction of sellers right now that I'm just not entirely sure there's going to be a much better time for you guys to sell. And I'm being completely honest in that approach. And in that, in the way that I'm thinking this market is going to go here in the next few months. So if you'd like to reach out to me and talk more about that, my number is 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. Call me and we'll talk more about all the properties that we have coming available. That's just not available publicly. It's not on the MLS. You can't find it unless you have a conversation with us. And then, of course, same thing on the seller side. If you want to sell your home, we have a backlog of buyers that are just waiting for inventory to hit the market. Call us first, see if we have a buyer for your house. We just did this last week. Somebody called us. We matched them up with a buyer, made it pretty easy on them. So 843-400-8009 is our number. And then, of course, you can always find us online at listingsincharleston.com. Listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks, for the second half. We'll get into the real meat and potatoes of what to do if you're a buyer or seller here in this market. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hear the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show every Saturday morning at 9 and each Sunday morning at 10 on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
1250 WTMA.
Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I always like to take a little bit of time and just say thank you to those of you that listen to this program, rely on the information within it. I really do appreciate those of you that call and ask questions and, of course, provide us with an opportunity to earn your business as your real estate agent, but also just to help you from a real estate perspective, whether that be letting you know who to call for a specific issue, or talk you through the process of just planning for a move. Not everybody we talk to has to be ready, willing, and able to buy or sell or invest in real estate. And of course, we do the show to help you prepare mentally for the process, understand what's going on in the market, and just help you better understand what you need to start thinking about in preparation for that move. So if you'd like to reach out to me and talk with me about that, 843-400-8009 is my cell. Call or text that number, 843-400-8009. Visit us online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. So, we focused the first half of the show on just the mental and emotional trauma that a lot of people are experiencing right now, and the fact that it's just a hard time for a lot of people. A lot of uncertainty in the market amidst a real estate market that's incredibly hot and really just tough to judge. If you don't really have a firm pulse on the market right now, a lot of agents just kind of have their hands up in the air to say, I don't know. I don't know how to advise people right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I've never seen something like this before. And of course, from our perspective, or from my perspective, I study the market every day. We sell a lot of real estate, and so that gives us a pretty good understanding of what people are thinking and feeling and doing in the market, so that we can then relay that to you as you listen to this program and figure out when the right time is for you to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And when that happens, or when that comes, how should you approach the process? So I want to talk first about buyers, and then I want to talk about sellers. It's just in this market right now. And we've talked a lot over the past several weeks about how to find these properties that are not currently on the market right now. And there are a bunch of different sources that we use. And when we work with buyers, and when we talk with them about our services, we talk about the time and the energy and the resources that it takes to find off-market deals for buyers right now. Because obviously we could just do what everybody else does and set you up with some sort of MLS search, which takes us all of 5 minutes, and send you properties as they hit the market, and then just say, hey, when you see something you like, let me know. I'll open the door for you. We'll talk about making an offer if you like it. It's what a lot of people are doing right now, and a lot of agents right now are just on autopilot, and it's a shame, but it is what it is. A lot of agents are burned out. So for us, obviously, we see this as a huge opportunity. Of course, we're going to tell you what's on the market, but you can just find that stuff out on Zillow. Quite frankly, what is it that an agent's doing for you that's above and beyond? What are they actually doing to earn your business and differentiate themselves from their competition? Because anybody can just set you up on a search, and I can't tell you the number of buyers we talked to who are like, oh yeah, we've already got a buyer set on this property. I'm like, okay, great. Well, good luck with that, because as soon as one of those properties that's really well priced hits the market, it's going to be you versus a dozen other people. And obviously, I'm not saying it that way, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. Is these buyers out there don't know what agents can be doing for them to provide them with opportunity that other agents just aren't simply willing to do, don't have the time, energy, or the resources to do for the buyers. And so what do I mean by that? What are some things that we can be doing? Well, you think about all the people that are selling their home on their own. As a buyer, you would like to have an efficient way of finding out who those people are. We have that. What about all the people that tried selling and didn't? They had their home on the market at some point last year, earlier this year, maybe even a year before that, it didn't sell. Well, if we brought them an offer from a buyer, they didn't have to go through the whole process of preparing their home for sale and listing it and being subjected to showings and so on and so forth. What if we just brought them a buyer? Would they consider selling their house? A lot of them would. We've done about a dozen deals in the past 12 months where we literally just found a seller that was willing to sell their home to our buyer. They weren't on the market. We just picked up the phone and started making phone calls, and obviously we did it in a very targeted way. I won't tell you how we do it because we've got a bunch of agents that listen to this show, but there are a bunch of other ways that we proactively find people that have properties similar to what you're looking for. We can track online behavior. We can track home characteristics. We can match those things up and find people that would sell a home that matches your criteria. And all of that, is pretty complicated, quite honestly. There's a big learning curve there. And you as a buyer certainly aren't going to take the time to understand that or create that process. It would cost you way too much money. So we use all of that to our advantage to provide opportunities to our buyers that they can't provide to themselves. And so let's say we find one of those homes, we want to make an offer, but even with everything that we've done, someone else still is at the table. We're now in a multiple offer situation, which is happening more and more and more. It really is becoming the norm. We took a little bit of a break off from that kind of last year, and then here we are again because inventory is just so darn low right now. I think that, we're somewhere between 3,700 properties available for sale. As a reminder, not a decade ago, we had over 12,000 properties available for sale in our market and half the number of agents. There were 4 properties for sale for every agent in our market. Now there's 2 agents for every property for sale. So what happens if we're in a multiple offer situation? How do we win? How do we differentiate ourselves? Well, obviously, and what I mean by how do you win isn't, well, obviously we just pay more than everybody else because not a lot of people choose that option. But what can we do to differentiate ourselves? How can we stand out from the crowd? And, are there some things that we can do that make sense that aren't going to cost us a ton of money or allow you as a buyer to inherit a ton of risk and still get the property? Well, obviously the first thing here is, and we did talk about this last segment, there is the right place and time for you to have a conversation with a lender and get pre-approved for a mortgage. And the more you can invest up front into that process and the stronger the letter that lender can provide on your behalf, the higher the chance you will have of getting that property as opposed to another buyer that might have done a similar process but didn't provide as much documentation. There's a pre-qualification letter, a pre-approval letter, and an approval letter. We strive for an approval letter. We want you to go through the underwriting process, if possible, while we're waiting to find the right property for you so that when we find it, the lender can say, hey, just so you know, they already have a mortgage. We're just looking for a property to attach it to. We don't have to go through the process of looking at tax returns and bank statements and verifying income and, oh, by the way, we didn't realize this, but the buyer had a foreclosure 6 months ago. Sorry, they can't get a mortgage. Deal can't go through. I mean, all these things happen all the time. So, yes, there is an appropriate time to go through the approval process and use that to stand out amongst the competition. But even that is fairly standard. What are some of the more outside of the box things that we can do? I'll tell you, one of the things that works really well is writing a personal letter to the seller. And there's a way to do it without it sounding cheesy or without it sounding like, hey, I'm really trying to, get your house for a deal. But let me write you this lovey-dovey letter to see if I can pull one over on you. No, it has to be authentic. It has to be real. And if writing is not your strong suit, we have a bunch of examples that we've used in the past that really did work. And I'll tell you, last week, perfect example. Last week, one of my buyer agents was in a situation where there were 11 contracts on this one particular house. She was one of 11. Our buyer got the property. Now, we wrote a letter, but we also did a few things contractually that allowed us to gain favor from the seller. But the thing that we did that was the most important thing, which is something that, frankly, our industry is horrible at, was we just communicated. As simple as that sounds, my agent talked to the other agent multiple times before the offer was made and then during the offer process. She was trying to find out, well, what's important to the seller? Is there anything that we can put in this contract, to make this easier on the seller? Do they need more time to close? Would they like to lease the property for, a week or so after closing so that they know that when they pack up their house, they're moving with certainty that it's going to close. It already has closed. Or do they need to sell really quickly? Are they in some sort of time crunch? But you're not going to find out how to make a really good offer if you're not communicating with the other agent to find those things out. I would be willing to bet that about 90% of the contracts that I receive on my listings they're just emails. That's it. That is it. I'll open up my email and, oh, look, there's an offer on one of my listings. No call was made, no text message at a bare minimum sent from the agents, just, here's an offer. And sometimes, and this just, honestly, it kind of just pisses me off if I'm being honest. I'll just open my inbox and I'll have that real estate agent, they just like CC'd me on the electronic signature process. And I'll have like a copy of a digitally signed offer on my listing. It won't even like have a message associated with it from the buyer agent. They just put my email address in there. Like they couldn't even spend the time to attach it to a personal email to me and say, here's an offer on your house. That's just kind of gives you an idea of what we deal with sometimes with some of these agents. And that's also why it's really not that hard to win some of these deals by just communicating with people. I don't know why our industry is so bad at it, but I'll use it as an opportunity all day long. And I'll use it as an opportunity for my clients to win over other agents. They keep doing what they're doing. That's fine by me. We'll keep positioning our clients for success and to be the ones that win the deal. So there's one more strategy, though, that you can do, and it is an aggressive one. It's called an escalation clause. And so the escalation clause could simply state, hey, whatever offer amount you have, we're going to pay X amount above that offer amount, not to exceed a separate amount. So let's say that a home is listed for $500,000 and we know there are multiple offers on it. Well, it's pretty safe to assume if there are multiple offers on it that it's probably going to sell for above asking price. So we could say, well, here's an offer for $500,000 and we're going to attach an escalation clause to it that says whatever the highest number is that you have on these offers, we're going to pay $1,000 more than that, not to exceed $510,000. So you're capping this escalation clause at $510,000, but you're also putting in some wording in there that says, hey, whatever you've got, we're going to do with $100 better or whatever it is, but we're not going above this number, and you have to prove to us that contract that you have for $508,000 is actually a contract for $508,000. So a little more risky, but a tactic you can use. That's one of the great things about real estate, isn't it? You can just put whatever you want into a contract so long as both people agree to it. Escalation clauses are commonplace, especially in other markets where they've been dealing with multiple offers for years and years and years. Go to Vegas and look at some of these deals that are getting 30, 40, 50, 70, 100 offers per listing. God help me if I'm a listing agent and I have to talk to 100 agents about an offer on one property and then have 99 of them be upset. Oh, God. Tell you what, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about selling a house right now, what you should know, what you should expect. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. We will be right back, but if you want to call me and talk with me about your real estate needs, if we can help you, my number again, 843-400-8009, 843-400-8009, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. We'll be right back.
More stimulating talk on real estate matters with Brian Beatty next on 1250 WTMA.
1250 WTMA, the Big Talker.
Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I want to take the last few minutes and just talk about the seller side of the business. We do talk a lot about selling a house rather than buying a house on this program. So I wanted to give more of a weighted average to the buyers and help them out this weekend. But I'll tell you, if you want to sell your house, we really do have our process dialed in. At this point in time, we're selling homes in an average of 7 days on my team. The average days on market in our market right now, it certainly has gone down, but it's nowhere near a week. Nor does anybody really plan on selling a home in a week. Most people want to sell their home in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable amount of money, and not have it be a situation where they feel like they've left money on the table. They certainly don't want to overprice it either and then feel like they have to provide a discount in order to get people interested. So there's a balance there. And if you want to talk more about your situation specifically, again, reach out to me. Let's have that conversation. 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009. That's my cell. Call or text that. Visit me online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or send an email, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. brian@brianbeattyteam.com. So if you're a seller right now, there are a few things that you can be doing to make sure that you sell your home for the most money possible. A lot of it goes into the prep. It used to be that we could sign an agreement with you, and then while you're doing all of your prep to get your home on the market, we could be marketing your home as a coming soon listing. And we could be building this pipeline of interested people through public marketing channels, so that once your home is ready and once it hit the market, boom, we've got all these people that are interested. Well, starting in May, our lovely National Association of Realtors has said, sorry, if you're going to do any form of public marketing, once you sign that listing agreement, that property has to be on the MLS within 24 hours. So goodbye, coming soon marketing, essentially. So how are we finding people so quickly for our listings and putting them under contract so quickly? I'll tell you who is winning the game right now. It's the people that have the data already and that are building pipelines of people that are looking at properties similar to what you have for sale. So like as an example, we have over 210,000 people collectively in databases that I've amassed over the course of a 15-year career. And if we look at the people that have been on our site that we've been communicating with, that we've been retargeting, I could use all sorts of techie words right now because we are a super high-tech real estate company in the form of what we do from a marketing perspective. And usually when we have a conversation with a seller about what we're doing behind the scenes to actually find buyers for their property, they're blown away. And I'm so in love with the things that we're doing and the companies that we've partnered with to give us that cutting edge and just that step ahead of what everybody else is doing right now. But the people that are really winning are the people that have the ability to find buyers that are already interested in a home like yours, are displaying online behavior that lead us to believe they're preparing for a move, and then put an advertisement in front of them for your house because we already know they're looking for something similar. We draw them into our website. We have conversations with them about it, and we bring the buyer to a lot of our own properties. Or, maybe that buyer is already working with another agent. I don't really care. I just want them interested in my property. And I want to go out and proactively find them rather than just hope some other agent shows my property to someone they're already working with, or hope that somebody calls my lawn sign, or hope that they go to Zillow and find my property. I want to go and I want to find the buyers based on their demographics, their buying profile, and their online behavior. Are they doing the things online that somebody preparing to buy a house would be doing? We can track all that. We can get in front of those people. That's how we're making a difference. And so when you think about selling your house and you think about preparing it, remember, we have a renovate to sell program. We'll help you renovate your property. We can arrange for financing. We can tell you what to do, not do, how to save money, all that fun stuff. Bunch of incentives that we'd love to chat with you about. If you want to reach out and talk about the home selling process, give me a call, 843-400-8009. That's 843-400-8009, or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com, And thanks so much for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. You guys have a great weekend.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.